Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 100 of my 100-day project. I did it, y'all. I did it. Oh my goodness. It has been a journey for sure, and I look forward to just processing all of it and continuing to work every day. I may not do a finished painting every day, but definitely carving out the time to do stuff every day is something that I want to continue. So today's painting was really interesting. I taught today, so I did the last day of a 3-part class on abstract portraiture at the Art School of Columbia County. And love, just such a great place, such a great community, really, really awesome folks, love doing it. And it's 3 hours of teaching and then prep and takedown and all the things. So I was tired today, and I haven't been sleeping really well. So there was that. And, I was definitely looking forward to today, and I had an idea. So there were 3 things that I wanted to do with this final painting. Number 1, I don't know if you've noticed, but one of my paintings in each 10-day series for each medium that I've done, one of those paintings has been landscape format. 9 have been portrait and 1 has been landscape. And it's not always the same number. They're not sequential numbers or anything like that, but there's just always one that's landscape. And so today it was going to have to be today's painting, because in this 10-day series, I haven't done any landscape orientation at all. So that was number 1. Number 2, I really wanted to do some sort of self-portrait today. I thought that would be a great way to end the series if I'm doing figurative work, to intentionally do something that represents me. So that was the second thing. And then the third thing, I'm working charcoal and graphite, right? So I thought, well, let me combine them and see how that goes. And I'll do it on watercolor paper, because I know the water-soluble graphite works great on the watercolor paper. And that's what I'll do. Well, it didn't go quite as planned. Surprise, surprise. So as you can see where I am right now, I've used the water-soluble graphite with a wet brush. I've just pulled the pigment off. So I didn't use the pencils. I used it like paint and was working great. And then I thought, okay, let me start to layer some charcoal on top of it. That did not go so well. The charcoal on the watercolor paper filled the tooth right away. And these are the big XL charcoal blocks, right? So they're really, really, pigmented isn't the word that I'm looking for. Like, they're really, a lot of material comes off at once. And so it filled the tooth right away. And the white charcoal is a little bit hard, and it stopped layering. I filled all the tooth and I could not layer anymore. So everything got really dark really quickly. So what I'm doing now is I'm like, okay, I need to step away from the charcoal and just focus on the graphite. So I'm bringing in the Graphitint pencils and seeing what I can do to try and move things forward. And I will tell you, there was at least 2 or 3 times during this little window here where I was like, okay, I just need to scrap it and let it go. And I was going to chuck it, which I rarely do with my pieces. I'm always like, there's always a way to paint over it or do something. I hate to kind of waste the history of it. And you can see, like, the white, it's just not, that charcoal block itself is pretty hard, and it just wasn't layering. So I considered chucking it, throwing it out, and I thought, you know what? The likeness of me isn't super great, but there was a lot of things I liked about it. So when I let go of the idea that it had to look like me, I started really enjoying it. And it was a really interesting thing to observe about myself because I don't paint from reference very often. There's a little part of me that resents it. Like I'm like I don't like somebody telling me what to do. Like if somebody tells me to do something, I'm one of those people that'll find a way to not do it that way. Not always, but there's a little bit of that in me. And so I think that comes up for me when I try to paint from reference. Like I'm like, don't tell me how to do it. Like I want to do it the way I want to do it. And so it's really interesting. Oh my goodness, the stories and the things that we take on board, all these little nuances. I watched Shrek the other day, totally random sidebar. I watched the first Shrek, which is such a great movie. And Donkey's talking to Shrek and he's talking about the complexity, and Shrek's like, yeah, ogres are like onions. And Donkey is like, what do you mean they're like onions? And Shrek says they have layers. And so it starts this whole conversation about cake has layers and etc. But I always think about that. Like, people have layers like onions, like ogres. So anyway, random sidebar. But yeah, I kind of let go of the idea that it needed to look like me. And I just started to kind of have fun with it. And then it became an experiment. So it started out as I need to do this thing. It needs to be landscape. It needs to look like me. And I need to use these materials. And then it became, well, let me just see how this goes. And I'm trying to like throw everything at it now. So I know the charcoal isn't working. I tried to use the charcoal pencils to see if maybe that would layer. And what that did is it just pushed the charcoal out of the way because there's no tooth for it to hold on to. So I ended up going back to the Graphitint pencils, and I couldn't get the nose. I was really struggling with the nose and was just struggling to get the lights back. I had used a lot of the charcoal, that yellowy ochre color, thinking that I could layer the white over it and bring in some different values, and the white just wasn't layering. So I'm kind of trying all these different things, trying to make it work, seeing what I can do. One thing I did not try was to erase. And the main reason why I didn't do that was the paper was still a little bit wet. I was still using water with the graphite. I tried water over the charcoal at one point. And so I know that if I try to erase on wet paper, it's just going to pull the tooth up. So I didn't go there to try and erase it. I just figured, all right, it is what it is. Let me keep going and see what I can do. Her glasses, I was kind of frustrated. So the glasses aren't super symmetrical. And here I am trying with that charcoal again. So at this point, I'm like, F it is what I'm thinking. And I pull out the white titanium paint, titanium white. I'm like, it's my painting. If I want to put in some mixed media in here, by golly, I'm going to do it. So I know this is supposed to be charcoal and graphite, but I was like, I'm just going to do it. There was a part of me when I started this that I considered doing it mixed media and like pulling from everything that I'd done, but not everything layers really well together. And so I thought, well, let me just keep to charcoal and graphite. So at this point, I'm like, screw it. I'm putting the white titanium paint in there. That's going to do two things for me. It's going to glue down the charcoal that's under there that keeps wanting to move and come up. And it's going to lighten things where I need to lighten and give me some lighter values. And then it's going to give me something that I can layer on top of again. So I kind of went in there in a few different places to do it. I didn't do a great job with the glasses, getting the glasses kind of even. In my reference photo, the shape of each lens is a little bit different because of the perspective, but I didn't do a super great job getting that noted here. So I end up making the glasses a lot bigger than I needed to. And I'm still fighting with the nose, y'all. Like, I just couldn't get the nose together. I think the glasses, for some reason, were throwing me off. Like, I kind of wish I had waited and done the glasses at the very, very end. At this point, I was tired. I was frustrated, and I just kind of wanted to be done. So that's why I ended up kind of throwing the glasses in a little bit early and trying to get some lights in there, lighten up the eyes a little bit. And the irony of all of this is of all the portraits that I've done so far in the series, this one is probably the most realistic looking in terms of not so much a likeness, but just in terms of the features. And yeah, so it's just funny to me. A little buck tooth. What I ended up doing there at the very end, I wanted to add something in there that was a little bit more representative of me. So when I do work, I will write the words love, joy, and magic in every painting that I paint. I haven't done it in this series, but like when I work on final work, I do that. And so I thought, well, this would be a good time for me to embed that in there. If this is something that's supposed to be reflective of me in some way, I really wanted to write that into the background. So that's what those marks say. And there it is. So as a portrait itself, I really like her. She's a little bucktooth. Her nose is kind of funky. The glasses don't quite match up frame to frame. So she's imperfect. And maybe that really does represent me best after all, is it may not look quite like me physically, but her imperfection and her layers and the whimsy of it and the disregard for how things have to be, maybe that is truly more of a self-portrait than I thought at the beginning. So there we go. Thank you all so much for joining me on this journey. I cannot tell you how much it means to me when I hear that you've invited me into your space and you've followed along and been maybe inspired by some of the things or maybe learned something here and there. That just really means the world to me. So thank you for joining me, and stay tuned for more to come. Who knows what'll be next? Take care of you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.